Hello everyone, today we are going to see this particular line graphs. We do have two charts here, two line graph, the multiple line graphs. The first line graph shows the production and demand of steel in million tons, and the second line graph shows the number of workers employed in the same year, that is in 2010. So this is the thing. In the year 2010, from January to December, what was the actual demand of steel? And that is compared to the total production of steel in tons, million tons. So we have four critical points there: January, April, August, and December. So it means that you are not specifically going to say January, April, August, and December. Whatever this thing, this is happening in February, you can mention February. This is happening in September, you can say it is September. So in between there are months, you need to calculate and show, because if it is significant, that you have to go with that. So you don't have limitations to say only January, April, August, and December. You can say February, you can say September too. So there is no issues there in doing that. So actually, this is a multiple charts. We need to make it concise. You have a lot of data here, and to include every particular data is impossible in this particular. So you have the production statistics, the demand statistics, and the number of the volume of the workers employed. So we do have a lot of things here to explain. So we need to select and report the main features. What we have to do is that select and report the main features and make comparisons where, and that's the only option before us. We don't have to go with every minute information. That is impossible there. So let's go ahead with this particular task. In the beginning, we can see the charts in detail. You can see the number one, the first chart, that is the demand for steel and the production. The title, you can see the demand for steel. So that is a primary thing. So when the demand is there, then only the production happens. So that's why the title is given demand for steel. So we have to say that in January, we have 2 million tons of demand. The production was double than that. Now this, you can see that there was the gap. Yeah, this gap was maintained. Always you can see the production was on the higher side, and the demand was on the lower side. Up to this point in December, almost you can say in the month of December, I think towards the end or towards the middle of December, you can see the demand and the production equals, and then the demand is going further there. So this is the only month you can see that the demand is going, demand is surpassing the production and a higher demand. So this is the story here. So when we look at the significant data there, you anyway you have to start this thing. You need to say this thing. So the initial thing, because this is a starting point, you need to say this is another thing you need to mention. This is another thing you need to mention. If you can say this thing, this is optional. This is another mandatory thing here you have to mention. You can say next, you can say this is optional. This is mandatory, this is mandatory, this is also mandatory. Okay, this is also main feature. This is another main feature. So all the main features are marked, the significant markers are there. Now, crossing also can be mentioned. So in all these main fluctuations are there. Between we do have a lot of data. There was a, a steady production. So no, we don't need to include every particular data. Oh, this is more than enough there. Okay, when we move to the particular number of workers employed, you can say that the number was 5 million. So I will be telling you one particular thing that is that when we go ahead with this thing, so this is in tons, million tons. So so when I can say it is 4,000 million tons. This is number of workers in thousands. If it is 6,000, then I have to go with another 3 zeros. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So we can say it is 6 million. So there are 6 million workers. This is the maximum. So what is the maximum here? 600 million, 6,000 million tons. So this is another important area we need to say there. So let's see in detail what exactly is this thing. Now we can say in the introduction, what can we see in the introduction? We do have to see the introduction is like this: the way in which the production of actual demand of steel along with the number of workers employed in the industry in 2010 is depicted in the given line graph. So we are going with the editing here. The production, I don't need the way in which here. The production, now I can say it is data regarding production and actual demand of steel along with the number of workers employed in the industry, in the steel industry. I think steel is already mentioned, so in the industry, same industry. Data regarding production and actual demand of steel along with the number of workers in the same industry in 2010 is depicted in the given line graph. So what is there in the given line graphs? We can say that data regarding the production and actual demand of steel, production and actual demand of the actual produce, actual demand. Okay, along with the workers, number of workers employed in the same industry in 2010 is depicted in the line graphs. Okay, thank you. Now approved, done. Now in general, the demand of steel and the quantity of its production were somewhat related. So demand and the quantity of its production was somewhat related. Yes, you can see the demand as it goes up. You can see somewhere there is some relationship. We could maintain a balance between the production and the demand. When the demand is going down, the production is also going down. Yeah, you can see that there is some sort of relation up till this point, December. Okay, somewhat related, whereas the number of employees in the industry saw a decline over the period. You can see the number of employees, it's declining over the period. So that is the general trend. So in general, we have exception here. Okay, in general, the number of employees saw a decline over the period. It saw a decline over the period. In general, we can say that the other things are related. So what is that other things? So this demand and production and demand was somewhere related up to this thing. So this is an exception. So in generally, if you see, it is somewhat related. Demand and production goes somewhere. It's somewhere related. Definitely over the period. It means from January to December. Approved. Now let's see in detail what is happening. So this is also okay. So I have the introduction. I have the overview. Let me mark the overview. Yes. Now I am going with the first particular paragraph. Okay, I have to place it somewhere here. So that, yeah, I think I would go with this. It's obvious. It means it's clear that the steel production was generally higher than the actual demand except in September. So the first particular sentence, if you correlate, it is obvious, it is clear that the steel production, this is the steel production graph, was generally higher, production was generally higher than the actual demand. Yes, than the actual demand, except in December. Yes, in December, we have got an exception. That's the story. In January, when the demand was 2 million tons, okay, the demand was 2 million tons. There is a problem here. It's not 2 million tons, it's 2,000 million tons. Okay, when the demand was 2,000 million tons, the production was exactly its double. That's okay, 4,000 million tons. So the industry's demand was 2,000. So you can say clearly there was a mistake here. That was 2,000 million tons. Right now, it is 4,000 million tons. Okay, just a minute. Okay, now if I go with that, the next particular data, sorry, excuse me. The production was exactly equal. Since the production hiked twice too, since then, since January, means since then means since January, the production hiked twice to 5 million tons. This is 5 million tons. So I have a correction here. It is not 5 million tons, it is 5,000 million tons. So since then, the production hiked twice. So one there and one here. Yeah, one in February, another in September. So we have cleared that. That's okay, perfect. Now, So we continue. The 2 months in which the demand dropped noticeably between these 2 points. These 2 points. Excuse me. These 2 points, in the sense, in the previous sentence, we have mentioned 2 particular points. Point number 1 was February. Point number 2 was September. So the 2 months in which the demand dropped noticeably between these 2 points were in May and in August. So in when the demand dropped between February and September, that is in May and August. Yes. Sorry. So between these 2 points, between February and September, where the 2 months in which the demand drops was May and August, and it was less than 2 million tons. You can say it is 2 million tons. It is actually not 2 million tons. It is 2,000 million tons. While the highest demand was in March, that is 3,000 million tons. You can see the highest demand there in March, 3,000 million tons. The least production over this period was recorded as August. So we can say over this period, the least production was 3.2 million tons. So this is something I just have to question here. What is the significance of this thing? So if I am not going with that, still I can survive. So this particular data is not a mandatory thing, so I can keep this. It's not a significant thing here because it has I cannot compare this thing to another. The highest demand, the lowest demand, the higher the least highest demand, and the least production. So I cannot compare this thing. So and I don't have that much significance here. So what I do is that I just need to cancel this thing. I don't need this particular information here. I just edit it and cut it out. That's it. Now, both the demand and production plunged since September. Now I have to say began to plunge. So both the demand and the production, it is understood that we are producing and the demand is of steel. So both the demand and production began to plunge since September. So by December, the production fell less than 1 million tons. Now you can see that. I'll draw that thing from September. The demand and the production started plunging, began to plunge. By December, the production fell. So this process was initiated. In December, the production fell less than 1 million tons. So it is not 1 million tons, 1,000 million tons. Okay. By December, the production fell to less than 1,000 million tons, whereas by November, steel was almost nil demanded. So by November, you can see by November, steel was almost nil demanded. No demand was there. Okay, so we can say that this thing happened. So this is one of the crucial paragraphs here. So I'll explain it once more. You can say the 2 months which the demand dropped noticeably between February and September, that was in the previous paragraph, where in March, May, and August, less than 200 million tons. That is that thing. While the highest demand was in March, 3,000 million tons, both the demand and production began to plunge in September. By September, the production fell to less than 1,000 million tons, whereas by November, steel was almost nil demand, and no demand was there. Clear. Okay. Now I have the last paragraph. So you may ask that after that the demand rose for steel. So that is also that's also a significant data. So let's see whether I can include that. I just saw that here that the demand surpassed the production then after. So I have to use one more word there to connect. However, the demand surpassed the production then after. Now, the last particular paragraph which I am going to say is this thing. The number of workers employed in January in the industry was 5 million. So in January, the number of workers employed in January in the industry was 5 million. You can say it is 5 million, correct, it is 5 million there, 5 million. So how it becomes 5 million? 5,000 in thousands, right? Number of workers in thousands. So we can say this is the thing. So we need to add in thousands, which means we need to add this 3 zeros. So it becomes 5 million. It's not 5,000 actually, it's 5 million. Okay. Despite a hike of 0.5 million, so it's almost 0.6 million actually. Make a change there. It's actually 6. Yeah. Despite a hike of 0.6 million in the next month. The number of employees fell gradually to just 1 million in December. So it fell to just 1 million in December. This was the hike. This was a significant hike there. So it fell to 1 million in December there. So that is the thing here. Now we have completed the task. I'll arrange it once. That's it. We have got everything there. That's the first paragraph. This is the second paragraph. And this about the last paragraph, the number of workers. So this is the picture. The whole story is there. You can see as a whole data regarding the production and actual demand of steel. This is the introduction. This is the overview, the general view. Now this is about the production and comparison between the production and the demand segment number 1. Again, a comparison between production and demand segment number 2. This is about the number of workers employed. So the story begins here and ends here. This is the introduction. This is the overview. I hope this thing is clear to you all. Thank you.